Hello, this is Bill from Park Auto Repair out in Lake Villa, Illinois. We're about 30-40 miles north of Chicago. Small independent repair shop. This is my first time on YouTube, so bear with me. This is going to be bad. I started watching YouTube recently and enjoy some of the car shows, but a lot of the stuff on YouTube is pretty unrealistic. See some pretty interesting videos about guys rebuilding McLarens and real high-end cars, high-end Mercedes and stuff like that. That's all nice, it's entertaining, but that's not very realistic. Most people will never buy a McLaren from the junkyard and rebuild it. Most people are not going to buy a high-end Mercedes and fix that up in their garage at home. We do these videos on more realistic jobs. Here we've got an 06 Jeep that needs a motor. This is something that someone with a little bit of experience could probably do in their garage at home. It is a little bit of an involved job. It is a 4x4. We're getting a crate motor because they didn't have any good low mileage motors available from the boneyards, and the customer wanted to go with new instead of used. So I'm going to walk you through every step of doing the motor. In some other videos we're going to go into the shop a little bit more about just everything from customer relations to parts to information systems. This is my first video. I have 0 subscribers, so let's watch and see what happens, see if I make another one or if this is the end of it. Thank you. A couple things on the car that I want to point out before I start doing it. Number one, I pulled all the wheels off the car so the car sits lower to the ground when I drop it down. We're probably going to have to pull this front differential, or at least drop it part way down. We do not have a lot of room between the front of the oil pan and the front differential, so we could probably force it out of there, but that's just not a nice way to put them back in. If you got to force them to come out, then you usually have to force them to go back in. Why do that? Take a few extra minutes and drop this differential down. Things I've noticed on the car, it does have a new oil pan on it. Somebody put an oil pan on here recently, and you can see that the pan is all scratched up from them forcing it in there. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not a nice clean way of doing a job either. Other things I noticed here is this car was, the customer told me that the car was recently at a dealership and had a new something done on the exhaust. The dealership put a Y pipe in here, and they did a real hack job of putting it in. Crappy weld. I don't even know why they would have welded it. They should have just put the whole Y pipe in there. The Y pipe is sitting right on the frame, so every time you hit, anytime you're driving down the road, it's just a terrible rattling noise in here. That's about it. So we're going to start by unbolting the exhaust. We're going to pull the front drive shaft out of here. We're probably going to drop the rear cross member temporarily just to make it easy to get to the bell housing bolts, and we're going to get our starter and torque converter bolts and probably go on to the motor mounts, and that's about it. And so we're just going to start by unbolting things. We're going to start with things underneath there and keeping an eye out for any electrical harnesses, wiring harnesses that may have to. Just one little quick thing as I'm doing this, I found a couple things that were done at the dealership that really is low quality work. I started to show you some of it before, but I'll show you a little more of it. The dealership put a Y pipe on there, and they just they just did a real hack job. They did a crappy job of welding it together there. And now that I'm getting into it a little bit, they bent the hell out of the flange and filled it with muffler cement. This is low quality work. Just because you take a car to a dealer doesn't mean necessarily that the car is going to get any better repair than it would at a regular shop. Well, while I'm down here, I'm going to pull off the wiring harness off the transmission. I believe on this motor you got to pull the wire harness off. So now that I've got the cross member dropped and the exhaust off and the drive shaft out, now we've got easy access to the wire harness. The bolts up on top of the transmission will be easy to get. Now we have a little bit of room to work, so we'll take this wire harness off this side, and we're going to take a little bit of a wire harness off on that side. I might be wrong about that, but I might be right. Next thing we're going to do is pull the bell housing bolts off, just because I have nice easy access to them right now. So I'll just take a quick picture, show you real quick where they are with the trans dropped a little ways and all that other crap out of the way. Now it's fairly easy to get to. Now at least you can see the bolts a little bit. Both sides of the transmission. I'm going to probably leave one or two in towards the bottom where they're going to be easy to get to. I won't pull those out until we get the cross member back under the transfer case. Here's another thing, starter. Oh, how do we do this? That's a junkyard starter, which that's fine, but it's an older vehicle, but somebody went through all the trouble of putting a starter in here and they put a junkyard one in there. There's not room to get this bracket out of there anyway. So what I'm going to do So what I'm going to do, instead of leaving it in there and fighting it around, I'm just going to drop these two lower cradle bolts. I'm going to drop the back of this cradle just a couple inches. Just those two bolts. Drop the back of the cradle just a little bit, just enough so I can get that bracket out of there. And then, again, temporarily just put it back together until the new motor goes in. What we're going to do is we're going to pull off we're going to drop the front differential down, and I'm probably going to pull the front, I'm probably going to pull the rack and pinion at least down so I have some more room. I'll show you. It's going to get kind of tight on the way out, so it's easier to do it now than when you got a motor hanging halfway out of the car. Got our oil pan here. I showed you this earlier, that there's not a whole lot of room between the oil pan and the front differential, but once you get past that, you're going to run right into the rack and pinion. Might clear, would probably clear, but it's only 2 bolts. One there, one there, and it makes everything easy. That's the biggest thing. It makes things easier, not harder. take the motor mounts off, or at least loosen them. I'll show you in a minute that the holes are slotted, so you don't have to take the bolts all the way out, it looks like, and maybe get some stuff, maybe get some stuff draining here a little bit. And there's a little plastic cover for when you change oil, a little spot for all the oil to run so it doesn't run directly on the frame. It's a piece of plastic. We're going to take that off just so it doesn't get damaged on the way out. Motor mounts are way up there, and like I said, I believe the holes are slotted so we don't have to take the bolts all the way out. And this is a plastic funnel. We'll call it a funnel. It's not a funnel, but we'll take this piece of plastic out of here so it doesn't get damaged on the way out. Plus, with that in there, you can't see the driver's side motor mount.
Now we can post pictures of my latest day.
Ah, bitch!
And get out the word.
The only thing we have left now is there's a ground cable and drain some fluids and pop the lower radiator hose off, and then we're completely done underneath.